guys, welcome back to another episode of Matthew's Guyanese Cooking. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make Hassa Curry. Now, Hassa Curry involves a fish called a hassa, and in Guyana it's called a hassa, but I know in Trinidad it's also called a Cascadoo or a Cascadura. If you know any more names for this fish, go ahead and comment down below. I'd like to learn a little more. I know that the American name is the armored catfish. That's also what I've seen it called by. And it does make sense because the outside of this fish is covered in shells, so it has like some armor on it and it looks like a catfish. But you guys will see the fish when I'm cooking in the video, so it'll make a little more sense. Now, this fish is a freshwater fish. It's definitely a bottom feeder, so it needs to be cleaned very properly. If it's not cleaned properly, then you're going to taste it and it's going to be very rank and it's going to be very dirty tasting. You're not going to have a nice clean curry taste. So this is why I posted a video on how you can clean the hassa. So I showed you how to open the hassa, take out the guts, salt it, wash it out very well, and you guys, it's gonna come out perfect if you follow those simple steps and then these steps that I show you guys in the curry making process. So I really want to give a shout out to my auntie Chandra. She was in the kitchen with me from start to finish with this curry because I'm going to be very honest with you guys. This was the first time that I've ever made Hassa Curry. I've seen my grandmother make it a bunch of times. I've seen some of my aunts make it every once in a while, but I've never actually done it by myself. So she was here. You're going to see her in the cleaning video. She was actually the one cleaning out the fish so she could show me how it was done. And she was the one, throwing things into the pot for the curry. So I have to give her a lot of credit where it's given. So once again, thank you, Auntie Chandra, if you're watching. And I hope you guys enjoy this Hassa Curry recipe. I'm telling you guys, I'm not such a fan of hassa, but I ate enough of this curry. It was really good, very clean tasting, just like Hassa Curry should be. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Ingredients that I'm going to need for my Hassa Curry are as follows. Of course, I need the hassa, and make sure you check out the video on where I showed you guys how to clean it. I'm also going to use some granulated garlic as well as some black pepper to go ahead and fry my fish. This is what I'm going to do before I add them into the curry. And then I have my curry powder, my masala, and ground geera. I have some oil, some garlic and hot pepper that I've ground up with a little bit of water, and I have my chopped onion as well as some salt. Now you can use the red onion like I'm using here, or you could use white onion as well. The first step is to fry the hassa before we add them into the curry. So what we want to do is take that granulated garlic as well as the black pepper and toss it all over the hassa. And what you're going to want to do now is toss it up with a pair of tongs, or you could even use your fingers for this, and just get it all tossed up and make sure all of the garlic and the pepper is evenly distributed throughout that fish. Now the reason why I'm not using fresh garlic is because if I put the fresh garlic on it and then I go to fry it, all of the fresh garlic is actually going to fall off of the fish and burn in that oil. So once you go ahead and toss this up, you can let it sit for about 30 minutes, but we're just going to cook it right away. Once you've tossed the hassa in the granulated garlic and the black pepper, it's time to go ahead and fry the fish. So in my pan here, I've heated up about an inch of vegetable oil on a medium-high heat, and all we're doing is flash frying these fish. What we really want to get out of this process is to seal the outside of the fish so this way it doesn't fall apart too much when it's in the curry, and apparently this step takes out some of the rankness of the fish as well. So you want to get them in a single layer, and we're going to leave them on one side for about 1 to 2 minutes, or until the one side gets white at the bottom. And I'll show you guys what that looks like when I go ahead and flip it a little later. At this point, it's been exactly 2 minutes, so I'm flipping my hassa over at this point, and as you guys can see, that side of the hassa is no longer dark gray or black in color. It's all white now, and that's because we fried that side in the oil. So once you see that color of the hassa, it's time to go ahead and flip. So I flipped all of them, and I'm going to let them cook for about another 1 to 2 minutes on this side, and then we can go ahead and remove them from the oil. It's been another 2 minutes, and as you guys can see, the hassa is white on both sides. So we've achieved the sealing of the actual hassa. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove them from the oil and get them into a bowl. We're going to set that aside, and then we're going to start on making the curry. Once you've finished frying all of your hassa and you've set it aside, it's time to begin working on the curry mixture. So in my bowl there, I have my curry powder, my masala, and my geera. And what I'm doing now is adding in about half of my garlic and pepper mixture and just mixing it until I get a thick paste. If it's way too thick, you can add a little bit of water, but you don't want it too thin. You want it to be nice and thick still. So once you get the curry mixture done, we can start cooking the curry. As you guys can see in that ramekin, I have a little bit extra of that garlic and pepper mixture. What my aunt does when she cooks her curry is she puts half of that mixture in with the curry and the spices, but she also uses half of the mixture and reserves it to go ahead and fry up with the onions. You guys will see that a little later. Once you set your masala mixture aside, it's time to begin cooking the actual curry. So in my karahi here, I've heated up a few tablespoons of vegetable oil on a high heat, and once that comes up to temperature, you want to go ahead and add in all of your chopped onions. Now, as you guys can see, I'm using red onions for this dish, but it makes no difference if you use the red onions or white onions, the taste is going to be the same. And we've also chopped up these red onions, but if you wanted to, feel free to slice your onions when you cook this dish. After about 2 minutes, you're going to notice that that onion has taken on a nice golden brown color, and at this point, we want to go in with that reserved garlic and hot pepper mixture that we had set aside. And once you add it in, you're just going to stir it around a bit, and you're going to let this mixture cook with the onion for about another 1 to 2 minutes, or just until it becomes very fragrant and that whole mixture dries up just a little bit. After another 2 minutes, and once that garlic has become very fragrant, it's time to add in your curry mixture. So once you add it in, you want to stir it around really well, and like always, my rule of thumb when making any type of curry is to let this mixture cook in that oil for about 5 minutes, and once it starts to stick a bit at the bottom and all of the oil releases back from the spice mixture, then we know it's done. After your masala mixture has been cooking for about 5 minutes, you're going to notice that it starts to stick a little bit at the bottom of the pot and the oil starts to separate from the spice mixture. Once this occurs, you know that your curry has cooked properly. So we're going to go ahead and add in all of our hasa at this point. And once you add the hasa in, you want to go ahead and toss it up in that spice mixture really well. Remember, as you're stirring it, you want to be very careful because this is a delicate fish, especially once it's cooked. All of those shells might fall off if you stir it too hard, so you want to be very careful. Once you toss it up in the spice mixture, you're going to allow it to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes just so it can get coated. There's no need for you to bunjay or fry up this fish in the mixture too much because it's already been fried and it's been sealed. My hasa has been cooking in the spice mixture for about 4 minutes now, and I'm going in with some water and I'm adding enough to cover the hasa about 3/4 of the way up. You don't want to add in too much water because the hasa doesn't take too long to cook and you don't want the gravy to be too thin. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover it and let it boil. Put your hasa curry to boil, it's time to work on the saijan or the drumsticks to go ahead and add into your dish. If you do not have these on hand, don't sweat it because your hasa curry will still come out great. But if you do have them on hand, I do recommend that you put them in because they add a nice flavor to the curry. Now I have them fresh, and if you have them fresh, all you need to do is strip the outside of those long fibrous strands and then cut them into your desired size. But if you have them from the can or if you have them frozen, you could just add them straight into the curry. So once my hasa has been boiling for about 5 minutes, this is the time when I'm going to go ahead and add in my saijan so it can go ahead and boil properly and get nice and soft. As soon as we added in the saijan, we went in with a nice sprinkle of green onions. Now, we didn't mention the green onions or the saijan in the ingredient list in the beginning of the video, but I will have those listed in the description box down below. So when you check that out, you'll see the full list of everything that I added into this recipe. At this point, I'm going to cover this dish and let it boil for about 20 to 25 minutes. Alright guys, my hasa curry has been bubbling for exactly 30 minutes now, and after I added in my saijan and my green onions and my salt, I went ahead and I covered it and I left it on a medium heat to boil for that amount of time. And as you guys can see, the gravy has thickened up a bit now and my hasas are done cooking now. Being that I did par cook them in that oil when I fried it, they didn't take that long to cook. So it's done now and it's ready to serve with a nice hot plate of rice. I also wanted to mention that before you take the hasa curry off of the heat, you want to taste this mixture for salt and any other seasonings just to make sure it's up to your taste standards. So once that's done, you could turn off the heat and go ahead and serve this. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe today. Make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet, and make sure to comment down below and tell me what you guys would like me to make next. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again with another one of my recipes.